Josh. Today we're going to go over the new ExtraHop firmware, which is 8.1. Going to show you some of the key features of 8.1 and walk you through what that looks like. Okay, so where do you get it? It's the first question, customers.extrahop.com. Download the applicable firmware and then upload it into your device. Keep in mind this can take a while. Follow the instructions that are on the doc sites. It's command, discover. You want to do command first, then you discover. On the doc site, if you type in firmware upgrade process, it'll walk you through the process of upgrading it. Okay, so the release notes are something you want to take a look at. I'm not going to cover everything on here, but there's some neat new features that if you want to understand more about. You can read about them here. The stuff that I'm going to show you is the MinorTech Framework. It is really neat within the new version of 8.1. There's the triggerless records, which is really cool. So being able to send records over to the record store without using any triggers. There's some new protocols that are being added. VPN stitching, I'll show you. The ability to track history for an IP address is neat. I don't have that set in my lab yet, but it's a neat feature to be able to see an IP address as it moves around in your system. So be able to see it, as a particular device, right? And I'll show you some screenshots of that. That's in the docs. And then there's some really good improvements just in the detection UI, which I'm going to show you. And then there's a really nice ability to look at uploads and perimeter view changes. So let's just jump right in. So I'm going to start here and I'm going to look at the perimeter view here. So large data upload, this is just going to show you when you've had a significant amount of data moving out to the web somewhere, right? Out to a routable IP address. So you can see my work laptop sending data out to, crash plan. All right, so that's normal stuff, but it triggers our large data upload. So, and as I would go back in time, and which I'll do, it'll add more of these. Uncommon destinations is a cool one. I went out to some Russian websites just to show those are abnormal for me. So uncommon destinations to external endpoints with uncommon domains. So this is an uncommon domain being sent out, and it just triggers that. So you can get all the data associated with that. Look at the records if you wanted to, but it's got all that information right here. It's a nice perimeter view to show those uncommon domains that I'm hitting, right? So you can see that here's some boat rental stuff I was looking at for traveling this summer. It's unusual for me to do that. Cloud service traffic, I'm really excited about this one. This is a really cool one because we're going to build a lot more onto this, I believe. So you can see here, it's going to show how much Google Drive. So the question here that I get from a lot of customers is like, how do I know what's being used? These SaaS applications. Well, here it is. Here's my Skype. Here's Microsoft OneDrive. Here's, some Google APIs, log me in, iCloud. So I could click on see like Josh Towers doing Google Drive. What's the work laptop doing? It's going out and doing, Skype and OneDrive, right? And so I could view out the bytes by the internal individual device here. So I can see the cloud service, Microsoft OneDrive, and here's the devices that are using Microsoft OneDrive and the amount of data. And you could dig into the records if you wanted to associate with those transactions as well. So that you've got lots of opportunities to dig into the traffic and be able to see what's happening on a particular transaction out to the cloud. So it's a really neat way to be able to track all your SaaS traffic. Bytes in, bytes out, right? And you can be able to see all the individual internal connections out to these external SaaS providers, right? All to these individual cloud providers. So really cool. Cool. So definitely mess around with that once you get 8.1 rolling. Cool. So let's roll over to detections. And hopefully I'm not going to bork this by going out to I want to go out to the last 5 months. It's a pretty long one. But before I go back there, you can see that uncommon destinations adds a bunch of them, obviously. And then large data upload actually goes back in history. I thought that was really cool. So I can see, a few months ago, what got triggered for large transactions, what were uncommon destinations. So not only is it working going forward, but it actually looks at the data retroactively. Okay, so let's go back to the overview page. And let's take a look at detections. And I want to show you some of the changes in our detections. These are some really cool things that they've added here. So you can see here, we got types, sources, techniques, and all. So you can immediately notice over here on the right that the MinorTech Framework is right in front and center in our detections. So now we're able to see that which individual MITRE framework is being referenced on that particular attack as you're clicking on these. So we're bringing that even closer to it so that where the CVE is referenced right in as you're clicking through these individual things. So there's the MITRE framework, clicking it again, there's the MITRE framework, there it is. And here's the MITRE techniques that this unusual traffic pattern. So, and we're adding the actual detection card right here so that you can see it even before you click through. Really powerful to be able to have that data at your fingertips right on the detection screen. I really dig this. So as I click on sources, we've completely changed out the icons here. So you can see there's the offender, there's a victim right here on the main screen. So you can see here's the actual detections by type on the summary. So you can see here's the individual detections. Let me move myself over here. And you can actually see here's the individual device detection summary, right? So all these individual detections by type that are associated with this particular device. So I can really start to dive into a particular device and see all the detections very quickly as I'm looking through the ExtraHop in this new version of 8.1. So I can see there's 69 detections, there's offender and 2 detections, so you can see the offender, the victim is on each of these individual sources. So it's really nice, but I haven't even clicked in on the actual detection. I'm able to pull this information. Really, really powerful stuff. Okay. I intentionally didn't click on any of the MinorTech Framework because I wanted to show this to you kind of from the very beginning. So check this out. This is so cool. So this is the MinorTech Framework, and we're actually seeing where we're in the individual MinorTech Framework's detections that we're firing on, right? So as we see a particular detection, what does it map to on the MinorTech Framework, right? What is the individual ID, right? Here's the individual detection types that we're seeing. So really, really neat because we're taking the entire MITRE framework and showing that as we move through initial access, execution, persistence, privilege escalation, where are you mapping and where do you have detections? And potentially where do you have gaps? Where else can we fill in? Where can ExtraHop work with other tools within your systems to be able to help augment those? But we're going to keep this as a way for you to be able to have a framework to work from to be able to understand what's happening in your environment. So if I click on things like brute force, here's the brute force detections that I have that map to that particular MITRE ID, and then here's the detection types, right? So here's the individual types that potentially could be being kicked off for this, right? So it's really, really useful information. And even if you don't have a detection, you can see what we're protecting here. Here's here's some of the potential detections we have for create or modify system process as a part of the MITRE framework, right? So if you're looking for something that's going to protect me for network service scanning, here's the type of scanning coverages that we do, or remote service hijacking, right? So it's really, really useful. I don't have enough time. I'd probably spend hours if I did, but to understand where are my detections in the MITRE framework and what can I learn about the MITRE framework to be able to understand more about what's happening within my environment. Okay. So as I click types, I just want to go back over this real quickly. You can also click it here as well, and you're going to get the information. So as you're in detection types, you can actually see here's the detection types covering this technique here. So as you go through these, if I click on one of these, you can see here's the individual detection type. I could click traffic signaling, boom. So you can get that information from here as well as clicking on the actual techniques up here under detections. Cool. I know it's a lot, but it's really cool. Please play with it once you get to 8.1 and be able to understand how the MITRE framework can help you be able to really drive a security strategy and posture within your environment. Okay, so what else do I have here? So we got upload cloud detections, detections by source. Yeah, okay, so let's look at records. So under the gear, you've got records now. So this is new. So when I uploaded, it actually took away the EXA connector and disabled that, and it replaced it with what we call triggerless records. So now you can go through and add the individual records that you care about by hitting the checkbox over here. So now you're able to understand and add records without having to have a trigger. So in 8.1, you can just click the box if you want to be able to add or disable a particular protocol to be able to send over to your records appliance, which is the metadata transaction. So you can enable and disable without doing triggers. Really, really cool stuff, right? So this enables you to be able to have much more granular management and not have to go in and edit scripts. We're trying to make this easy for you. So when you upgrade it, it automatically disables the EXA connector and then allows the protocols that you had just goes to enable on the records under here. All right, so that's a really cool way for us to be able to ensure that you can manage records easily in the future without having to use triggers. And the last couple things that I'll show you, so assigning device role of a VPN client. So there's a VPN stitching capability within ExtraHop that allows you to be able to, when you have the correct feed, to see the external and internal IP address of that particular VPN client. So as you're seeing a connection come in, the use cases here is I can understand the actual ISP IP that just came in on, search on it, and see it within the same device. I don't have this set up in my lab yet, but this is a pretty cool work from home type of use case to be able to understand where those VPN IPs are coming from and then map them to my internal DHCP IPs and make that into a single device. Now, one of the things I do know that you have to do to get this set up is you go into admin capture device discovery. You have to actually enable VPN client discovery. I was reading on that. So if you want to use that and you're going to start messing with it, make sure that box is checked because otherwise it probably won't work. You have to have the feed to where you can see the inside and outside of your VPN as well as have VPN client discovery set up. All right, cool. So I know that that's a lot, but please go out and check out 8.1. There's a lot of new features in here that are jam-packed in it. The MITRE framework and the triggerless records are really cool, and the UI improvements. So thanks, guys. I appreciate your time.